Awesome. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming out and listening to my little spiel here about my Shopify app, which I've been building over the past number of years, called Synkro. And my name is Eric Froese. I worked with Shoss for a number of years, Mike actually, for a number of years, goes by Shoss, at the previous startup which he had mentioned. So got to know him quite well, and I'm excited to give you guys a little demonstration of what I've been working on, what has now become my full-time job, and that is Synkro, inventory sync. It does more than sync inventories, but that was the initial idea. And but what it does do is it makes it easy to manage product and inventory data across any number of Shopify stores. Yes, I'll breeze through this first part because the demo's not super short. Okay, so about me, I'm not actually from Milton, sorry, but I am from Niagara, and I went to Brock University and graduated with computer science. Spent a few years at a web development agency, spent a few years working for an AI time tracking software company. I was employee number one. It's actually my uncle's startup, so I got a whole bunch of opportunities to learn new things, dip my toes into basically everything from desktop applications to server software to web front end development as well. So that prepared me nicely for Firework, which was my next employer for about 2.5 years into halfway through this year, where I had worked with Shoss. Not necessarily shouting them out, but that's where I worked. And then Synkro, which I've been working on for quite a long time, and I'm excited to present to you today. So the story of Synkro. Basically, it did not spawn out of divine inspiration, but rather out of need. So my family runs a cloth diaper manufacturing business out of St. Catharines, and they had 3 separate Shopify stores, which they used to sell in Canada, separately from in the United States, and separately from in all the rest of the international markets. So the challenge with this is that managing 3 separate Shopify stores becomes difficult when all of your products are fulfilled from the same single warehouse. So you may get an order on the international store or the USA store, but at the end of the day, the product is going to be fulfilled from the St. Catharines warehouse. So it's a single inventory pool, but 3 separate Shopify stores, and each Shopify store tracks inventory separately. Now, that becomes a problem because you might have 10 of one diaper, which is available in all 3 stores. There's only actually 10 of this item, but across all of your stores, there's a potential to sell 30. So, especially overnight, when you can't manually go into each store and update the inventory, you end up overselling. Ultimately, that's the biggest problem that spawned the first version of Synkro. So the solution was build a Shopify app which would monitor the inventory of all 3 stores and make sure that all 3 of them stay in sync for the same items. So it would do that based on the product SKU, which is stock keeping unit. So that was the problem and proposed solution, and on September 17, 2018, I made the initial commit to my code base with that project, which was written in Elixir, if anybody's into programming languages. So jump ahead a whole year, because this was time which I had to spend learning how to build a Shopify app. I also still had a full-time job, and I had to navigate through publishing an app on the Shopify App Store, which can be very difficult because they have lots of requirements and they're very nitpicky, which is a good thing. But on October 2019, I launched the app to the public, so it was available on the Shopify App Store. Which is a good thing. But on October 2019, I launched the app to the public, so it was available on the Shopify App Store. It was a very simple application, as you can see here. All I did was sync inventories between products that shared the same SKU across any number of stores. So I could have made this just for my parents' company, but I spent the extra time to make it such that anybody could use it. Maybe some other people had the same problem. That was my hypothesis anyway. So I got a few, first few customers, and it was just a fun little side project that I spent too much time on considering how little really it generated in terms of revenue, but it was just for fun and learning. So next, we will jump ahead a few years here actually. So on the bottom you can actually see that's kind of the growth that represents the growth, the customer growth. And so I titled this segment of Synkro's life a side hustle, which it very much was, but it was steadily growing at a slow pace over those 3 years. And I would essentially, the way that the app grew is that I would take feedback from customers and add small features and bug fixes in my spare time occasionally. And it would only take a few hours out of my month of time. It was very much a side project. But come September of 2022, it had grown into something relatively decent. And it was paying for the occasional dinner. But I at this point, I did feel like there was something here, and I wanted to take it a bit more seriously. You can also kind of see that between here and here, there was a fairly significant, that was like 8-month period where there was zero growth. So anyways, that was a bummer time. But that's when I learned there are cycles in the e-commerce industry. So anyway, jump forward now just 2 months. So to November 2022. So this is when I decided there's a little spike in growth, and that's because I had from being out there, putting myself out there with Synkro, I had this, customer-facing, funnel where I would get to know lots of customers, and eventually I actually ended up having a customer who I gave great support for, and they actually proposed to me to do a bunch of feature ads for them, and they were actually willing to pay me more as a result of me adding those features. So it was a bit of a risk, because if anybody comes to you and says, if you build this, I'll subscribe to it, it's a gamble, because most of the time, and this was very real throughout the lifetime of Synkro, was that a customer would tell me they will, whatever, they'll promise me the moon, and if I do something, and then I do it, and they ghost me. So this was, I assumed, another one of those, but I always had the attitude that I'll just do it, and maybe I'll get lucky. So there was one significant big customer who I did some work for, and they ended up installing Synkro on a bunch of stores, and they prompted me to create the Synkro Pro tier. So up until this point, Synkro was just like pocket change for the merchant. It really made no money for me. It costed no money for the merchants. And at that point, there was no way that it would ever become a viable thing for me to do full time at that price point. But this prompted me to create a new pricing tier, Synkro Pro. And I thought maybe this could be viable. If I could get people to subscribe to Synkro Pro to access these new features, which I've made for this one merchant, maybe this could become something I could do eventually full time. So I began constantly working on Synkro with every spare moment. One thing that I learned while watching some tech YouTuber, his name's Gary Tan, but he's a part of the Silicon Valley VC scene. Anyway, he said that if you are a small company, the thing that you can do better than Google or any other big corporation is offer insanely good customer support. So that's what I did. I'd reach out, have a call, conversation with every new customer that signed up for Synkro, and I would build decent working relationships with these people and making sure, and then they would talk to me. So I ended up in this cycle that has kind of gone through the past year where I offer great customer support, and then I build relationships with customers, and they will make free feature requests. Through that trust that I build with them, I say, okay, well, I'll build this feature for you under the higher pricing tier, and they would be willing to subscribe. The idea was that I would get a more high-value customer, add features, make my software more attractive to other merchants who may be looking for something similar. So I built a new feature, and then find out it was a waste of time, most of the time. But occasionally, it would lead to growth. It would be a feature which was actually very useful to lots of merchants, and it would result in customer growth. So that same formula kept me busy since 2022 of November all the way to today. So it's this segment I call product market fit. Question mark? Who knows? But according to the chart, it did seem like it, and things were growing quite quickly. So and this kept me very busy. The amount of customer support or the amount of new feature requests I got kept me busy until I had another big backlog of feature requests, and I was just building out features like a madman, and things were growing. So customer support, of course, still top priority. I increased the basic plan price, added a few more pricing tiers, trying to do, the pricing psychology with the ladders and encouraging people to, bump up. That's all kind of, interesting stuff you can read about. And then I implemented this feature for a customer. So at this point, Synkro can sync inventories and sync products between any number of Shopify stores that you have. And then one day, a customer asked me if he could also have Synkro sync orders, so that when an order appears in one of his stores, that it would all get funneled down into his main store, where he could then fulfill the order. So that actually opened the door for a ton of different use cases, which I'll show you soon. Over this time, I didn't have any documentation, so I did have to hold everyone's hand, but that was kind of the idea of offering good customer support anyways. So, and there was no marketing. This was all just the Shopify App Store bringing me customers. Yes, so, and then at this point, I've got great feedback from customers, and the reviews speak for themselves, but the customer support is extremely important, and I would encourage everybody to prioritize it. So let's do a quick little demo. I wonder if I can pause, exit. Okay. Oh, you closed everything. I have. Okay. Here we see. Okay, now we're on this screen again. Sorry, bear with me for a moment here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so like I had said earlier, Synkro syncs product and inventory information between multiple Shopify stores. So here we have this example store called Extreme Snow Sports. We have another store called Extreme Snowboards Wholesale. So this is one example of a use case which a Shopify merchant might use Synkro for. Typically, if you didn't use something like Synkro, you would have to manually make changes to the products in both stores. But with Synkro, we can easily copy products between stores. So let me just give you a quick rundown here of what we're looking at. So this is the Shopify admin. This is where you manage your product information for your Shopify stores. And here we have the wholesale store and the main store. So the main store's got a whole bunch of products in it, and the wholesale store is empty. So what I'm going to do is, Synkro is installed on both of these stores, and I just want these products from my main store to end up on my wholesale store. So let's do that, and you can do that easily with Synkro by adding a tag to the products. Here, Synkro Clone Extreme Snowboards Wholesale. So if I add that tag to these products, tags are a thing you can put on products in Shopify, if you're not like a Shopify expert. So after adding those tags, Synkro will recognize that and use that as a trigger to say, okay, on the wholesale store, we got to put those products. So here's the retail store again, where we can see these products. And then the wholesale store now, if I refresh the page here, we'll see all of those products have now arrived in this store. Just all I had to do was add the tag. And so now we'll refresh the wholesale online store. And I guess those products don't get posted on here for some reason, but yeah, anyway, the product gets kept in sync. So anytime I make a change to the product in, so let's use this hydrogen snowboard. So anytime I make a change to the product in this main store, let's say, so you only ever have to interact with one Shopify store. Let's just add some random information here and hit save. Synkro will immediately sync that information over to, now we're in the wholesale store again. So let's hit refresh quick. So we can see that exclamation mark got in the title and the description got updated. So this is one small example, but you can imagine that having to do that manually would be a lot of time that you don't have to spend. And this is just for 2 stores, but there's lots of other use cases which involve 10, 20, 100 stores where doing this manually would just become impossible. Obviously, another thing Synkro does is syncs orders, or syncs inventory. So if we say sell one item in the wholesale store and then jump over to the same item over on the retail store and just quickly refresh the page here. One more time. There we go. So inventory gets synced. Again, that's another thing that Synkro's just doing that in the background, keeping your inventories in sync across all of your sales channels without you having to do any of it manually, and you can sleep easy at night. So the next thing that you might want to do as a Shopify merchant, and this is another use case of Synkro, is okay, I have a warehouse here full of snowboards, and I'm selling them through my online store here. I would love if there were more sales channels available for me to sell these snowboards. And one thing which Synkro now supports, if anybody's familiar with dropshipping, show of hands, has anybody heard of dropshipping? Lots of people? Okay, so what dropshipping allows is for a third party to sell my snowboards, in this case, on their Shopify store. And then whenever they get an order for one of my products, the order is routed to me for fulfillment direct to the customer. And so it's a seamless experience, so the customer doesn't realize that they're actually purchasing something through a dropship seller. But what we'll do here is just kind of simulate or show you how easy it is to sell someone else's products with Synkro. So if I've got this Extreme Snow Sports, and I'm going to direct a third-party Shopify merchant who I've built a relationship with, they want to sell my products. All they have to do is punch in their myshopify.com URL, which is here. So snowsportsmarketplace.myshopify.com. If you're familiar with Shopify, you would know exactly what this is. But what this will do is run me through an installation flow. Synkro gets easily, within 2 clicks, Synkro's installed on my marketplace store. So this is now the third party's perspective, if you can imagine that. And once the app's installed, and they pick a pricing plan, they finish off all the standard installation steps, and they can immediately start importing my products into their store. Now let's just quickly import this hydrogen snowboard, and ski wax. So Synkro, this is the Synkro app, by the way. It provides this little interface where you can browse the inventory of the supplier's store, and let's go ahead and import those. And so Synkro will now create those products in as a third-party seller here, which is the context we're looking at. It will import those products directly into my Shopify store as drafts, and there is inventory, it just hasn't been updated yet. So there we go, so we can see the inventory is there. And all I have to do is mark these products as active, and they immediately become available in my online store. See, we can see everything. Oh, I archived them? I meant to activate them. Okay, now they're active, and now we can jump over to the Snow Sports Marketplace store, view the online store. All right, now we're in the marketplace context. This merchant doesn't actually sell these. These aren't their own products. They're just selling them on behalf of the supplier store for a commission. So what we'll do is we'll just simulate a customer going through the checkout. So let's continue shopping here. Let's buy that wax too. Add this to cart. All right, now let's check out. So we've got 2 items in our cart. We're buying it through the marketplace. So this is the third party. This is the dropship seller. They don't actually supply these products. These products are supposed to be supplied by someone else. So let's just go ahead and do, I guess this. All good. And this is a fake credit card we can put in here. So we're just going through the checkout process in the third-party dropship seller store. So we'll pay. Okay, so we bought these products, and now we'll jump over again into the Shopify admin from the marketplace context. We'll see that order was created here. This is all standard stuff, but the thing that's key here is that this order isn't fulfilled by me. So Synkro needs to send this order to the supplier store for fulfillment. So we'll jump over to here, and we'll see that that is exactly what happened. An invoice was sent to the marketplace store to release these goods, and so we'll just simulate that was done. And now we've got our money from the marketplace store, so we can send those items to the customer. So we'll fulfill this, just simulate a little fake tracking number in here. Fulfill. Okay. So now the order from the supplier's perspective is fulfilled. And Synkro has also synced that fulfillment. We're back into the marketplace context. Synkro has also synced that fulfillment over to the marketplace store. So what that means is that customer purchased the product on this third-party store. Synkro routed the order over to the supplier for fulfillment. The supplier fulfilled the order, and all the tracking and information gets synced over to the marketplace store here, the original order, and the customer is none the wiser. The marketplace store gets a commission on the order, and the supplier store moved some goods. They made a better profit margin than they would on a wholesale order, and everyone's happy. So that is the end of that part of the demo. And then you can imagine, well, I called this a marketplace store for a reason, because from the supplier's perspective, they're a dropship seller. But from the marketplace perspective, they could connect with any number of suppliers, and now you're a marketplace. So I want to get back to the slideshow. Okay, so we saw that there was fully automated product and inventory syncing. This is for the context of merchants who manage multiple Shopify stores. No problem. So we showed the wholesale example where you might have 2 stores, but another very common example is you have a brand and you sell that brand across many different geographies. So here we got USA, Australia, Mexico, any other Shopify store you might have where you want the inventory, product details, everything synced across all of them. So, and you can imagine as you add more and more stores, the benefits of Synkro really grow. So dropshipping support, we showed that. The marketplace sells my warehouse of items and marketplace store. So if that marketplace were then to go on and connect via Synkro with a bunch of other third-party suppliers, now you have a marketplace. So the amount of use cases just kind of keeps growing, and it's always interesting to chat with merchants when this is basically all just discovery through conversations with merchants, learning that they're doing these things. So I guess challenges along the way. One thing about working on Shopify is that Shopify is really the key point of failure here. So Shopify owns my customers, they own the top of my funnel, they can shut me down. They won't, I mean, I trust they won't, but if Shopify says, hey, we've got this new security compliance requirement, so you have to get it done by the end of the week, you have to drop everything and do as they say. So that's one bummer, but they give a lot more than they take. Another challenge was taking the plunge into full-time entrepreneurship. So I recently quit my job in May, so that was definitely something I'd hummed and hawed about for a long time before doing it. And another challenge is that I can't do it myself forever, so my hope is that this continues to grow. and yeah, so that's a challenge which continues to be a reality. So calls to action, scale up, mentorship and partnership, marketing, sales, customer support, those are all things as a programmer I'm not really an expert at. And I think that is hopefully where the business will need to prioritize next in those areas. And then of course leads. So if you know a merchant who has multiple stores, if you want to build a marketplace, consider using Synkro as your foundation, because for example, say you wanted to, and any brick and mortar store that uses Shopify point of sale, even if they don't have an online store, if they use Shopify point of sale, you can sell their items and inventory will get synced. You could sell their items through your marketplace, an online marketplace. Combine that with a little local delivery thing and you have a local marketplace. So there's just a quick little idea, business pitch, something you could build just by approaching people in the local community who are interested in putting their products for sale on a marketplace. You could build that today using Synkro as the foundation. And if you or somebody you know has a warehouse full of items which they would like to sell, they sell direct to consumer, they sell wholesale, but right in the middle there is drop shipping. You get better margins, and it's got a lot of really great pieces about it. Anyways, if you happen to know anybody who has a warehouse full of items they are looking to drop ship, Synkro is really the perfect tool for them. And they can sell through any other Shopify store. So yeah, that's the end of the demo. And I don't know, what did you have next, Shots?
Awesome. Any questions for Eric about his business?
No? I have a question.
Sure.
Does the wholesaler need to have Synkro?
The question was, does the wholesaler, so like the dropship seller, the seller, do they have to have Synkro? So they have to be on Shopify, and they do also have to have Synkro because Synkro needs to be installed on their store in order to, manage inventory, manage product information. It's just a requirement. So yes, the answer is they do require Synkro. Yeah.
How you can integrate it if you have an Excel, how you change the database? You can accept any database to, like, inventory. Inventory is in the Excel.
Right.
Import it to Synkro?
Yes, so the question was about inventory from a third-party source, let's call it. But in this case, it's an Excel spreadsheet which may have inventory information in this Excel spreadsheet. So is this still, I want to end show. So if we go to Synkro here, the answer is Synkro provides a tool for that. And that tool is called, it is a generic inventory data CSV upload tool. So we have this batch inventory upload tool. Basically what you can do is if you have any random like spreadsheet or data source of inventory information, you can upload that. You can change the formatting of that file so it's compatible with Synkro, but often you can just build a little function in Excel which does it automatically, and you just drag and drop it up into here, and all of your inventory can get set within your Shopify store. So yeah, sometimes merchants don't use a Shopify store prior to their relationship with Synkro, but they are willing to create the basic Shopify store even if it doesn't have an online presence, but just so that they can take advantage of the order routing, the inventory syncing, product syncing, and all the connections they can make with Synkro. So, and this batch inventory update tool is exactly what that person would need, like how you described. Any other questions? Cool. Thank you, everybody.